Good morning, folks, and welcome to Money Truth Moments with our very own financial expert and money whisperer, Judy Copenbarger. How are you, Judy?
I am absolutely fantastic. How are you today, Carlos?
I'm doing fantastic. As folks can see, it is a beautiful sunny day today. I mean, it's just awesome weather, and it's Tuesday, and it's time to listen about money truth, right? So, folks, if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. Make sure that if you're not following Judy, do so at judycopenbarger.com. All of our social media links are there as well too, and there's a lot of goodies on there that, believe it or not, are free, folks. So you need to take advantage of that, and we're going to talk about her website a little bit later on in the show. But first of all, let's begin because I know it's always we always run out of time, right? Because you've got great content that you share with folks, and we've been talking about financial freedom. What does that look like? We've kind of gone over several steps in this series, and today we're going to talk about another great addition to that series. But before I do that, and before I tell you what that is, I want to give Judy an opportunity to kind of review a little bit for you folks that are joining us for the first time about what we've covered so far. So you make sure you go back and take a look at some of those other videos as well too. So it's all yours, my friend.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that. When people figure out that I'm in money, I deal with money and helping people on their financial journey. One question is, well, how do I get there? How do I get from here to there? How do I attain financial freedom? How do I attain financial success? And that looks differently for everyone. But if you really kind of break down the journey, break down the financial success. It's one of those things that it's not easy, but it's very simple. The steps are very simple. And there's really four, if you break it down as much as you can, I think there's the four steps. So the first one is to have a plan. And that plan could be a 5-year plan. It could be a lifetime plan. My preference when I'm working with people is to have a lifetime written financial plan that deals with everything short term, mid range, and long term. It's got to be written down so you have accountability to the plan because you will get off course. Things will happen. Your salary will change, your income will change, your expenses will change. You might add kids, you might delete kids, as they launch. Your life is ever changing. Your assets are changing, and all the money flow will change throughout your life. The things that you own, all of that. So it's got to be a written plan to help you stay on track. And you've got to make sure that you in my opinion, involve all the people that are helping you make decisions or making decisions with you. And if you do that, you'll have a solid plan. So that's the first step, a written plan involving the right people. That's a long-term sustainable one. The second thing is you want to have your team in place. Get your bench, line up your bench, right? With the people that need to help you. It could be financial advisors on your 401k that help you pick the stocks, pick the mutual funds. It could be your insurance guy. It could be your accountant, your lawyers, the people that help you with your business contracts and your business entities, your tax planning. All of those people that have that particular expertise are there on your bench to help you. So choose your team. Make sure that you choose the right team so you don't have to keep replacing them. That's one mistake people make. They go with the cheapest price or the first referred person that has a pulse, and it might not be a good fit long term. So I think taking the time to vet people on your team is really worth it, to put in that time at the beginning. So once you have your team, it's time to number 3, execute. Execute on the plan. And that means just step by step, dot to dot, connect those dots to get the results and make progress. And some people won't move because it has to be perfect before they move. The conditions have to be perfect, right, before they do anything.
Right.
So they never do anything. They're paralyzed. Other people just kind of jump in, but they forgot to, chart the course on the path. So they're just like, if they're on their way from here to Seattle, which is, I'm in Southern California, you just get on the 5 and go north and just do that. Never get off the 5, you'll get there. And why are you in Indianapolis? Yeah. Why are you in Fargo? I mean, you might still get to Seattle eventually, but it's going to be cumbersome, time consuming, and expensive. So just chart your course, stay on the course, execute. And then the fourth, very simple element to the process is to check in. You need to course correct along the way. And we know there will be these variables and you're going to be off course. What do I have to do to get back on? So if you wait 10 years before you check in with your plan, you could be way off course, way out there in Atlanta, when you're trying to get to Seattle. And so you want to course correct regularly, quarterly or annually at the longest period of time. And that's it. That's all you got to do, right? Get a plan, get your team, execute, and check in. That's it. It's not
And you know what's interesting too is that it's, although it sounds easy, it's probably the hardest things that folks have to deal
yeah,
with, right? And even
yeah,
even taking that first step, right? Just to because when you hear finance, when you hear the word anything financial, right, that you have no clue about, because most of us were raised where very simple, where you just put money in the bank, you save, you save, you save, and that's it. You spend $1, you save $1. I remember that's what I was taught growing up, and most of us have, right? So you don't really know what's out there. When somebody gives you what your money could be working for you, like you've talked about in previous shows as well too, it's a foreign concept. It's a very scary concept for a lot of folks, right? And
mhm.
then it's also, what's important about it is that thank God for you, because you've really shared a lot of that wisdom and taken away a lot of that fear. And I'm going to encourage folks watching today to make sure that you guys go back to some of the other episodes. And again, we'll talk about Judy's website in a few minutes, just to let you know that there are some resources out there. But I think that this leads us to the next topic that we're going to talk about today, which is really crucial and important, is teams, right? So um, I want to make sure that I give you plenty of time to do a little deep dive, so folks really understand and are feel comfortable walking away from today's show, knowing that this is who I need to look for. These are the things that I'm looking for a team as well. So I'll be quiet now because I'm talking too much, and I'll let you share your wisdom for sure.
Yeah. So getting the right team. So we have a method for vetting, and picking the right people to be on your team or the right firms to be on your team. And most of the time you have control over that. Sometimes you don't. If you're an employee and you have a 401k, the provider of the 401k that has the contract with your company or with your school district, if it's a 403b, you don't get to choose them. Hopefully they've been vetted and they're doing a good job. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. But for the most part, you have control over the people that are on your bench, the people that you get to pick on your team. We've got a tried and true way to make sure that is a sustainable choice for you, the way you pick your team, and that's the 4H method. If you're not familiar with that, you might want to go back and listen to that 4H method. That's how you pick people that will be a good fit for you. And it's not just how much they know. There are other elements you want to look into. So that's one thing that you could do to, as you go into this. But the question might become for you, well, who do I need on my team? I'm just new to planning. I don't even know. I have a State Farm guy or a farmer's guy or a AAA guy that does my insurance, because you got to have insurance on your car and your house. But other than that, I don't really know much about that. So where do I go? So the 5 basic pillars of finance are where you want to start. And so there are 2 that are protective. There's one that's kind of neutral, and then there are 2 that are more um, growth oriented. So let's talk about the protection part. The 2 protection pillars of finance are the insurances and the legal. So the insurances, that's going to be, the PNC insurance agent, that's property and casualty. They're the ones that have your bundle, your car, your house, your liability, your tort liability, all of those things. You might also need business insurance. You might also need health insurance, life insurance, long-term care insurance, all kinds of insurances against different hazards. If you're in an earthquake zone, if you're in a high fire zone, flood zone, all of those things you might want to think about. The whole menu of insurance that you need. But then be careful, because all insurance agents are paid on commissions. There are very few
True.
that allow you to go to the direct to the company, the FMOs. Um, and so you want to be careful that when you're having a conversation and learning about the insurance, that there could be a conflict of interest, because you want the premium to be as low as possible for the best coverage. The other side of the table, the person discussing it with you, would like the highest possible premium, right? Because they get paid a percent on that premium. So there's this built-in conflict you always want to keep in mind. So consider that. Not that insurance agents are bad, it's just a system that you want to be aware of how the money's moving. right? So you don't want to overinsure. And I'll tell you, I had this client from up in the Bay Area, just outside of San Francisco. When I met her, she had 27 policies just for her body. She had
Wow.
cancer policy and epilepsy policy, and if I had a heart attack policy, and if I had, one of my toes got removed policy. I mean, she just had crazy
Wow.
because she had this concern and she had family reasons, health reasons to be concerned, but she would buy everything they came and sold her. And I can't believe people would keep doing that. And it's like, oh, here's another one. I need to sell another policy to take a trip, to win my trip. And so then they'd go to her and she'd, of course, buy another policy. So we got her settled into just the right amount of policies for the right reasons, the right amount of coverage for fair premium. So that's one thing, insurances. Another one that protects you is legal. And so legal could be for your family and it could be for your business. If it's for your business, this is going to handle things like your business contracts, whether you are an LLC, whether you're a S or a C corporation, if you incorporate your business, sole proprietorships, partnerships, all of those things. You need a good lawyer for that on your bench. If you don't have a business that you're running, you at least need to consider legacy planning, estate planning. Do you have a will? Do you have a trust? What happens if you lose your ability to handle your own affairs? What happens if you pass away? Where does your stuff go? And is it one of those things like in Monopoly, you pass go, you have to pay? Right?
Yep.
The crazy, gift and estate taxes, crazy fees for court supervision, if you're in the court system. Well, if there's a lawyer that can help you avoid a lot of those costs and those delays, tying up the assets sometimes for years before your family gets it, why not? So you want to have an attorney or two or three, depending on what's happening in your life, that can help you sort those things out and make really good choices there. So those are the two protective pillars that you want to consider for bench, folks on your bench. Then there's taxation. This is that neutral one that I mentioned. So you want to have a really good CF or CPA. A CPA is going to be a certified public accountant that is going to make sure everything is in order. You're taking the expenses as write-offs that you should. You're paying the appropriate tax, not more than you should. But they're the people that are trained to know the rules to help you play the game really well and to take advantage of the tax laws that we have, which are ever changing. And so it's important when you're vetting to find one that is up on all that. If you pick a 78-year-old CPA, doesn't mean they can't do it, but are they taking the 40, 50, 60 hours a year training they need to be up on the new laws? Some years more than that. I mean, they're constantly learning new tax laws. So that's an important element, person, firm that you want to consider. And then again, use the 4-H method to make sure you get the right kind of accountant. And then there are two pillars of finance. There's the cash flow and cash reserves and the investments. The investments probably has the most potential for people, like for the most people you might want on your team. But let's talk with the cash flow and cash reserves. This is the person or firm or people that are helping you with the cash flows. So it's the financial planning part. How much do you earn? Where do you put all the dollars that come into your household every paycheck? Do you save it? Do you use it for your expenses? Do you use it to capitalize or fund your business? Do you take a trip with it? Do you save it for retirement? If so, how much? What percentage, right? It's that kind of planning. And that's where you've really got to have that end in mind, have a really good goal setting and know exactly the destination that you're shooting for. So a good planner is important. I would choose either a fiduciary, like an AIF designation, or a CFP. A CFP is a certified financial planner. And that's someone who's going to know about taxes. They're going to know about estate planning. They're going to know about all the investments, how the economy moves, all of that. They have formal training and formal education in that. Plus, they have to be degreed, right? They have to have an education besides just sales training. So CFP would be good for that slot, someone to consider on your bench. And then finally, the one that might have the most people is your investments. So by investments, we're talking about real estate, which is going to involve bankers, mortgage lenders. It's going to involve realtors. It's going to involve people that maybe flip houses or manage houses or repair houses or investment properties that you have. It also includes your business interests. And so if you have a business with subsidiaries, maybe you're a partner, maybe you're on the board, that's going to take some people that know about business. That's going to be your MBA. It's going to be the people that understand the moving parts of a business, the liabilities, responsibilities, and rights that you have as a business owner or a business interest holder. And then the traditional investments, which usually when you say financial, people are thinking this guy, right? This person. And that's the firm that helps you pick stocks. It helps you invest in mutual funds, annuities, all the insurance products. Maybe they manage money for you, so you have a portfolio, and they decide what holdings you have, and what kind of returns. If it's a value fund or if it's a fund that pays a lot of dividends, what sectors you're in, what kinds of economy you're participating in to get the returns that are appropriate for you within the risk tolerance that's appropriate for you. So there might be several people on that part of the bench that handle the cash flows and handle the investments for you. So that was a long-winded answer, but on your bench, you want to have at least 5 areas covered and the appropriate people for you in each area. Make sense?
It makes total sense, Judy. And I have a couple of follow-up questions because
Mhm.
this has come up before, and I want to make sure that our audience really pays attention to this. And folks, Judy always says, make sure you're taking notes. You have a pen, paper ready to go, and you're taking good notes with that. And also, just as a reminder, if you do have questions, please let us know. We'd love to address it, and Judy would love to give you guys a response or when we're here on the show. But talk about, let's go back to wills and trust. Can you share a little bit why that's important, why you shouldn't put it off? I mean, a lot of folks think, I'll get around to it, I'll get around to it, but you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly with it too. And you might, I'm hoping that you can share a little bit of that to kind of, wake people up. It's like why that is important.
Yeah, and I'm in meetings day in and day out with families that are going through a tough time. Maybe there's a parent or a grandparent or some family member who's failing, dealing with a serious injury, a chronic illness, and maybe they're expected to pass away. Sometimes you get that time, where other times you get the shock. But when people are going through that, or after someone has passed away, we come in, we have the meeting, the family's all around the board table, you can picture it, and papers in front of everybody, that meeting with the lawyer. Um, and so we're in these meetings, and there's 2 kinds of meetings we have. We have one kind of meeting where the person who has passed away or who is very ill did planning. And it's very clear what their choices were, what the distribution is, who's in charge. They leave this very clear plan behind of what needs to happen and what their wishes are and how we can carry that out. You might agree or not with it, but there's no question about what do they want. That's one meeting. Those are hard meetings, but they're not as hard as the meetings when there has not been planning. Now we're going through, well, what do we do now? Who do we pick to be in charge? Sometimes there's conflict over that question. How's the distribution going to go? Sometimes there's conflict over that question. You can imagine who might be in the room, and blended families, all these issues arise, and we all grieve differently. So when you have that conflict and you have people that have different ideas about what mom wanted, what dad wanted, what auntie wanted, whatever, and there's this like power struggle and maybe even animosity. Well, I was told I was going to get that. No, I was told I was going to get that. That's what we always talked about. And nothing is written. It all has to be sorted out with attorneys in the courts over a long time with a lot of money. And those are hard meetings to have. So I always say if you can plan, right? If you can plan, that means you can afford it. You're willing to take the time. You're upright, you're competent, you're able, do it. And so then it comes down to what kind of planning. Do we need a will? Do we need a trust? What kind of a trust? For most people, and again, it's boilerplate generic, advice, which you don't want to just take generic advice, but it's a placeholder for you until you get some specific advice. For most people, when they come to me and say, when do I need some kind of a trust? The answer is usually if you own property, if you have, substantial assets, which I would say is over 100,000, or if you own property It's going to be so costly to transfer that property. You might want to have it in trust just to avoid the probate and the court supervision cost to that. If you have minor children or any dependents that are maybe are long-term special needs dependents, you probably need a trust, because what the court would do based on the rules in every state might not be in alignment with what you would do. And by that, I mean, kids or adults at 18 on their 18th birthday. Well, if they get a big pot of money, and you imagine if you're not here, you have life insurance, retirement, all the assets that are tied up in your stuff, all of a sudden is cash, and you hand it to an 18-year-old, that's usually not a good thing, right?
Right.
I mean, they think it's great because they're going to go out and buy a fast car right away. And who knows, take some trips, and who knows where the money goes. And the predators come out of the woodwork, right? When there's money shows up like that. So sometimes that wouldn't be in alignment with our wishes. So if you can make your own estate plan, make a trust, use your rules instead of your state's rules. If something did happen to you before you expect it to, way better. Those are way better meetings. So that's probably what I would say about that when it comes to estate planning and legacy. And then there's, of course, if you're in business, all the ways to choose an entity. But it's really important to make those decisions early and do the planning while you can.
Excellent, folks. And again, I hope you guys are listening to this and taking note. Don't wait till it's too late, because you don't want to have to deal with all of that as well, too. Another question I had for you, too, is part of your bench, right? Who we need on our bench. You talked about CPAs. Talk about the importance of having an actual CPA versus, somebody that just uses TurboTax, no knock on them or whatever, but somebody that really knows, like you said, invest time, energy, efforts, learning all the new laws and all of that, versus someone that's just under someone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it really, it's one of those law school answers. It depends, on who you choose. It depends on what's happening in your life. So you might have a very simple return. And some people think their return's simple, but it's not. Like there might be credits, there might be things they're eligible for that their enrolled agent or their just tax guy, or their brother-in-law who's on TurboTax or something doesn't know. They're not aware of it. So you miss out. But if you have a very simple return, it might be fine to go down the street to H&R Block or somewhere online, or with an enrolled agent. The difference between a CPA and all of the others is a CPA has very specialized training and very high requirements to be in it. I talked earlier about you want someone that knows the nuances, the changes, and tax law changes every year. There's a whole stack of stuff every year. And in the old days when I was young and sharper, I would keep up on all that. Now it's like too much. Now just go to the experts. That's what they do all year long, is learn that and manage that. So a CPA is going to be the highest level of education and book learning and head knowledge and scrutiny to have the highest, best ability to help you. So I always say, if you have a business, make sure you're working with a CPA that specializes in business owners, depending on your entity. And if you have a complicated return, if you've got K1s coming in, you've got trust income, all kinds of other moving parts and investments happening, real estate issues, you want a CPA, and you want a CPA that does that all day long, every day. And that just is coming from 40 years of experience with people that have not had really good coverage in accounting and people who did. So that would be my recommendation. If you need that level of help, get it done right. Pay the extra money because they're going to charge a professional fee. Pay that money. Don't worry about $150, tax return bill, right?
Correct.
It's going to be more than that, but worth it. Don't save your pennies or spend your dollars to save your pennies. What do they say? Penny wise, dollar foolish. Don't do that. And just in my experience of people having made that mistake.
Excellent. Hey, folks, I know we're getting to the end of the show, and you know what that means, right? It's our Money Truth Challenge, and we've talked a lot about different things. I got mine ready. So what do you have for us this week?
Okay, here's the challenge. So we talked about putting together your team, the 5 pillars. The challenge is to identify which pillar you need to work on when it comes to your team. So get your pen and paper Here are the five. You've got insurances, you've got legal, taxation, cash flows and reserves, and investments. And investments, remember, there's business interest, real estate, and traditional investments like your stocks and bonds. So, of those five pillars, where is your weak link? And this is what you want to write down. Maybe you have a couple of them, but there's going to be one that you go, oh, yeah, I know which one I need. Because every year we talk about it, we just haven't done it. Right.
Mhm.
So, write down that weak link. Who do you need on your bench? What kind of an expert do you need on your bench when it comes to subject matter experts? The second thing to write down is, where can I find one? Can I talk to a friend, a family member, someone at work who might have one? Do I reach out to someone that I know at church or PTA or that I serve with on a board? Who do I know would know these people? How do I find the right person? So just make a little basic plan of action, right? We're talking about planning here. So what kind of a person do I need on my bench? Where can I find them? Who can I be referred to? And then the third thing is, Nike, get it done. So by Sunday at 5 o'clock this week, you have a time and a date on the calendar. What will I have done to make a little baby step, make some progress in this area of my life to fill my bench? That's your challenge.
Excellent, folks. And you got the challenge. If you need any help or you have any additional questions, please make sure you reach out to us as well. And we have about 2 minutes, Judy, and I want to make sure we take a moment just to talk about the resources available on your website. So share with us what's available there.
Of course, judycopenbarger.com. It's right there. You can access the Money, Truth, and Life online mastery program there. And if you go in there, there are courses on every one of these five pillars of finance and classes in every area of these courses that will help you. And there's stories of people doing it well, people not doing it well when it comes to money and making decisions. So you can learn from their mistakes, which is valuable. And just learn the primer level. When we talk about a trust, irrevocable trust or living trust, what kind should I have? It'll help you distinguish and determine that at your house. Should I have permanent life insurance or temporary life insurance or none at all? Well, this will help you understand what's the distinction, what's the difference, what kind should I have? So it'll go through the insurances, it'll go through the estate planning, taxation. That's a big one. That's a great pillar. But all of that's on the Money, Truth, and Life online mastery program. Also on the judycopenbarger.com site, you'll see some helpful articles. There's a bunch of YouTube videos that are embedded in there that you can watch on every subject for personal finance, small ministry, and business finance. So you can just take 3, 4, 5 minutes and learn something. Maybe it's something that you knew and you're practicing, but a different perspective. Like, I never thought of it that way. Or now I get it. Now I understand the bulls and the bears. So all of that is there for you. If you prefer to read, the Money, Truth, and Life book is available everywhere bestsellers are sold. It's a bestseller. So you can go to Target, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million. Kindle version is there on Amazon. Of course, you can order it on the author page on Amazon. But it's called Money, Truth, and Life right here. It's showing up here on the screen. But it is there for you. And it's a valuable resource. It's got everything you need to help you go to the next level. Whether you're just starting out, you're just finishing college, maybe you just got married and it's like, wow, we're merging money. That's hard, right? Because you didn't grow up in the same household, I hope,
Yeah.
right? So you have different attitudes and different ideas about what it means to save and spend and earn and manage money. So you got to merge all that. Or if you're a veteran at life, you're very successful. I mean, most of my clients now are very, very successful. And I aspire to have the life of many of them. But they want to have everything organized. They want to keep more of what they've earned and not give it all to Sam, right? Or have it go. It's about stewardship. It's about management well. And so we're helping them do that, save on taxes and leverage the money and have it grow appropriately. So all of that's available through judycopenbarger.com or on Amazon if you want to get the book.
Excellent, folks. And we are at the end of the show. Judy, I know I speak on behalf of the audience, so we thank you for your wisdom. Every Tuesday, we get to learn something new from you. And more importantly, folks, if you're not following Judy, do it at judycopenbarger.com. All of our social media platforms are there. But it's always educational. It's always great. You walk away more empowered after we talk on our Tuesdays. And then Yeah, exactly. More power to us on that. So, folks, we're here every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Replays are on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Make sure, again, if you're not following Judy, do so. Judy, I will see you next week. Have a fantastic week, and thanks again for sharing all of that great wisdom.
All right. Be blessed. Be empowered, you guys. You can do this. Have a
All right.
great week.
Take care, folks.